Yeah.
Seeing the hearings we have, line the gallery. That's why I think that's just coming. Okay, you can start.
Good. All right.
You need to unmute.
Huh?
Unmute.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday morning. Call to order. First order of business is the swearing in of new commission members. Is Ms. Aquino and McAdam. I see McAdam. Where is Mr. Aquino?
Ms. Aquino.
Is your microphone?
I don't see him yet. According to my wife, I've been wrong before. Jamie, do you know if Mr. Aquino is here?
Mrs.
Or Mrs., I'm sorry.
I don't see her in the room, but she did say that she was available. So she should be in attendance.
Could you give her a quick call? Because I'd like to get this meeting moving.
Scotty, Cynthia
Yeah.
here. Do we need them for quorum?
Probably. Do we have a quorum? Well, and we've determined that Mrs. Aquino is not in. Well, let's swear in Mrs. McAdam. Okay. I'm going to have one of our assistant AGs do the work.
Good morning, Commissioner McAdam.
Good morning.
Could you repeat after me? I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Hawaii,
and the Constitution of the State of Hawaii,
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties
as an elections commissioner to the best of my ability.
as an elections commissioner to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is a good time, by the way, just a quick mention that all of us, myself included, we should always kind of review those things that run our life, being this commission. And that's section 3-170. I hope all of you will make sure that you occasionally read through that and know what it is that we do, what it is we can do. And if it's not in there, it might mean that we can't do. All right, so thank you. Can we get a roll call and determination of a quorum, please?
Chair, before I take roll, I just wanted to mention that we got in touch with Commissioner Aquino, and she needed the link to the meeting. So she's being sent that right now. So she should be here shortly.
Okay. Why don't we take the rest of the roll until, and then maybe we'll be ready when she comes in.
Chair Anderson,
Here,
Commissioner Aquino will be here shortly. Commissioner Curtis,
Here.
Commissioner Dean, Commissioner Kiguchi,
Here.
Commissioner Kohler, Commissioner Kuwata, Commissioner McAdam,
Here.
Commissioner Takenaka.
Here,
We have a quorum, Chair.
thank you. Would you just advise me when our new commissioner comes on, please? You can start with the status of operations report from our chief election officer.
Okay, you have my status of operations in front of you. I just want to touch on that. The election was conducted on August 13th. We had over 340,000 voters vote. Let me back it up. Prior to the August 13th primary election, we did conduct testing, vote for the in-person voting as well as the state or the absentee mail, not the mail-in ballots. And then we started pre-processing on August 2nd, and we ran all the way into 13th. After the election, we had 6 recounts that we conducted. We issued our final report on August 25th. This is because voters with mismatched signatures can cure their ballots within 5 days. We conducted the post-election audit the week of August 22nd, and there were a total of 8 contests for a cause, which were filed with the Supreme Court, which was dismissed, and the election results were certified on September 6th. Moving forward to the general election, the first thing we're going to hit is October 1st is when we're going to begin testing the in-person voting machines. And another benchmark is on September 23rd. We need to send out the overseas ballots 45 days prior to the election. With that said, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners? No questions? Cool. All right, public testimony. Any interested person may submit comments or testimony on any agenda item. Staff, you want to call on the first testifier?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to test,
Oh, okay.
sorry. If you would like to testify, please click. If you would like to testify, please click raise hand under reactions on Zoom. If you are joining us by phone, please press *9. When recognized, please unmute your microphone before speaking. You may also turn on your video at this time. For the record, please state your first and last name and the items you'll be testifying on. For those testifiers joining us by phone, we will not have your name and will be identifying you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. To ensure that we will have sufficient time to hear all testimony, each testifier will have 3 minutes to testify. Once your time has expired, you will be asked to conclude your remarks. The first testifier is Brett Colbus, followed by Ralph Cushing.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Chair. My name is Brett Colbus. I'm the Honolulu County Chairman for the Republican Party. I stand by my written testimony that I submitted. And while I don't know if this I appreciate the new commissioners on board. Welcome. And I guess my question is really for the chair. What is the process for election of the new chair, since I think the commission has to elect a new chair? And when does that happen? I yield.
Mr. Colbus, I am the chair until I believe my term expires the end of next year. It's a
Yeah,
four-year
well-
term. And after
That's-
that, and what happens is the commissioners interview people to be the chair, and the chair is a four-year term. And you can have as many as 2 terms. And my second term will be coming to an end, I believe, the end of next year.
Thank you, sir. The only reason I asked because the website doesn't show that.
You're stuck with me. Okay? Is that all, Mr. Colbus? Okay, next.
The next testifier is Ralph Krishney, followed by Tara Rojas. Okay, Chair will move on to the next testifier, Tara Rojas, followed by Edwin Boyett.
Okay.
Aloha, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm testifying on number 4, the status operations report from the Chief Election Officer. However, I know we didn't get to it yet, but what I would like to say is that, you know, the state of Hawaii has so many rules and processes and procedures and laws, written, sunshine law, Hawaii revised statutes. It's just endless. Now, the thing is, you have these laws and processes in place for a reason. And I would just like to state that it is necessary, it is time for you all to actually apply your own laws, to follow your own laws and rules. As we're seeing in what's coming out, all of the heavy corruption, the deep corruption that is happening in all areas, all offices, all commissions, all committees, the Planning Commission regarding housing, legislation that is being created. And it's not something that I'm just making up. It's finally coming to light. So I'm just saying, be pono, follow your own rules and laws, be transparent, and that there should be communication and honesty in this day and age. It's 2022. We need to do what's best for Hawaii. And we need to keep Hawaii, Hawaii. So again, I'm looking forward to hearing the status of operations report from the Chief Election Office. Again, be pono, be honest, be transparent, and follow your own rules and laws. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next.
Next testifier is Edwin Boyett, followed by Jennifer Kafwan.
Aloha, this is Edwin Boyett. Thank you to the Commission and the Office of Elections for your service to our state. My remarks concern the pre-certification audit required by HRS Chapter 1642, wherein it says the Chief Election Officer conducts a post-election pre-certification audit of a random sample of not less than 10% of the precincts. Now, before this meeting, I wanted to conduct a thorough diligence and review the audit documentation. So I placed a UIPA request. And a few days ago, the response came back and indicated that it would require over 6,000 pages of copying, and the cost to fulfill my request was estimated to be $1,500. In the interim, I interviewed an election observer. The observer described the hand counting process to me and commended the state on the security of the facilities. The observer described the challenges of having to hand count ballots, and for the batch the observer counted, it took 3 counts to reconcile the totals. The observer indicated to me their counts were recorded on scratch paper. I asked if the final count was recorded on the official form and documented with the names and signatures of the observers. They indicated they were directed to write on a cover sheet attached to the ballot box. Now, reviewing past communications, status of operations, it appears that precincts were placed into arbitrary categories before being randomly selected. Now, I can find no authority or provision in the Hawaii Revised Statutes for categorizing precincts before random selection. To be random, each member in a population in the precincts must have equal chance for selection. Subdivision into arbitrary categories means that some precincts will have a greater chance for selection. The commission should consult with a statistician for further explanation. The observer couldn't state with authority that the ballots they counted represented a complete precinct. Now, I found it concerning that the audit was not methodically documented on prepared forms. Given the response to my records request, the documentation for the pre-certification audit does not currently exist in a readily transmittable form. I can only assume that no member of the board has reviewed the pre-certification audit. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Given the public sentiment about election integrity, all critical election processes should be well documented using best practices and should provide clear and reproducible data. The composition and documentation of the audit, as I currently understand it from available information, does not produce confidence and may vary from the requirements of Hawaii statutes. Thank you to the members of the Office of Elections and the members of the board. Aloha.
Well, thank you very much. Next.
Next testifier is Jennifer Kapuan, followed by Lynn Sarayan.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Kabwan. I'm calling in regards to the agenda item processing voted ballots. My first point is regarding the ballot box. As the first caller mentioned, the rules are not being followed. The policy written states that the ballot boxes are available during operational hours and they should not be available basically during non-operational hours. So we checked out the ballot boxes and they were all available during non-operational hours, meaning the gates are not secured for the district parks that they were located in. The lock boxes themselves, drop boxes themselves were not secured at all. So you could have access to them 24 hours. There is also a risk of voters going into the drop box locations after hours, non-operational hours, and facing jail time. So basically, I received a citation for being at the drop box during non-operational hours, and I was faced with a possibility of facing jail time. So that is one policy that I feel that you guys need to work on. And outer island counties also have their drop boxes located at police stations, which I feel is a more secure place for the public to be dropping off their ballots instead of these unsecured. There's no surveillance in the middle of a dark public park with a lot of homeless around. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is in regards to processing voted ballots. There are no observers at the Dropbox pickup sites, so we don't know where the ballots are going after the temp workers pick up the ballots from the ballot boxes. So on election day, the ballot box was locked up at 7, but the ballots were not picked up till 8 p.m. on election day. So at 8 p.m., we're not sure who picked up the ballots, where they went, and were they even counted on election day? I believe we're supposed to have an election day, not an election weekend or election week. But my concern is that these ballots are not secured, unobserved, and there are no process for chain of custody. I yield.
Thank you very much. Next.
Next testifier is Lynn Surayan, followed by Jessica Kayado.
Hello, my name is Lynn Surayan. During the 2020 elections and the primary election of 2022 in Hawaii, we have learned of and witnessed many irregularities, rule-breaking, statistical anomalies, as well as admitted and demonstrated lack of required competence and errors made by officials during the election process. This ranges from mailing errors in the thousands, signature verification issues, unexplained mismatched official data releases, early deployment of ballot boxes that were left completely unmonitored, failure to register voters through the DMV process, voter rolls that are admittedly filled with up to 100,000 deadwood voters, and proof of ballots being sent to properties for voters that do not reside there. Computer voting systems that are not fully secured and tested, and a complete lack of knowledge in managing technology and technology vendors. Cast vote record data that can help verify if any computer fraud took place, not being available or unusable, and therefore seemingly not being utilized by officials, or made available to the public for that matter. Data showing that Joe Biden received more votes in the 2020 presidential election than Barack Obama in his home state. Secrecy of the ballot not being ensured for in-person voting. US code election record retention requirements not being met, as well as Hawaii statutory rules regarding audits and chain of custody being broken. Add to all this the sheer volume of available information regarding election issues and fraud being reported from across the nation. As I'm limited in time with my testimony, I would like to recommend to all attending here today or later watching the recording of this meeting to educate yourselves and take to heart the problems with our elections. There are 2 documentary movies, 2,000 Mules, which clearly explains how widespread mail ballot fraud is being committed in our country, and Selection Code, which is available for free at selectioncode.com, which is the recent story of Mesa County, Colorado, where an election official who did not suspect there were any issues with her own election turned into a whistleblower after coming across evidence of manipulation of electronic data in her servers. This film exposes the computer or machine side of election fraud. In addition, please check out the citizen journalism that I'm involved with locally, where we have covered much more detail about all of the issues that I was only able to touch on here today. Look for Surfing for Truth on various social media outlets, including Instagram, Truth Social, Telegram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Again, that's Surfing for Truth. It's spelled with the number 4, Surfing for Truth. We will bring you information that the mainstream media does not and cover a lot of these election issues. I urge this committee to take seriously their role and to work with our community of concerned voters to learn about, investigate, analyze, and discuss issues that are being brought forward, and to do everything in our power jointly to make sure that the changes are that we can make changes necessary to secure and restore faith in our election process. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Next testifier is Jessica Kayado, followed by Andy Crossland.
Can you please hold, okay, can you please hold my time for a second? Can Scott Nago show himself that I know that he's present in the meeting?
Excuse me?
Can Scott Nago actually show himself so I know he is present for my testimony, please?
Yes. He is present. He's
Okay, I'd like to see his picture.
right.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, so I will allow my time to begin right now. I am now in the current Office of Elections. This is now my 3rd time being here just on business related towards voting. I am highly disappointed in what I'm seeing here right now. I do not like the fact that we do not have chairs to sit in, how there are people here, and all of you people who are on this commission board should be present in person, and we air to the public. When we show up in person, I want to see your face. I don't want to be through a screen. I love reading body language and tone. Right now, this right here feels exactly what you guys did before when it came into mail-in ballots. You don't want to be present and face the people or push that. And on that note, I'm going to go into the actual testimony. Questions about mail-in voting. Mail-in voting was introduced in Hawaii before the COVID pandemic, which led many other states in the nation to choose this method of voting. According to our officials, the all-mail voting process is supposed to drive voter turnout. Indeed, there was a spike in voter turnout in 2020, but according to DROP, That is over 68,000 votes in the voter turnout from 2020 to the 2022 primary election, when historically going back into the 90s, we typically see an increase in turnout from primary governor races. I would like to know how our elections officials interpret and explain what took place. Is the increased voter turnout a one-off benefit of all mail-in voting? That is only seen in the first year that is introduced. If so, what is the point of going through the enormous efforts to change our entire election process going forward? I would like to see the cost-benefit analysis for switching over to the new process, and if we can still justify this was indeed beneficial and worth the cost for Hawaii. This analysis would need to also consider the increased risk of the fraud and manipulation with all mail-in process. In Delaware, a judge just ruled that a new vote by mail enacted earlier this year is unconstitutional, and voting by mail cannot be used in the upcoming November election. Earlier this year, the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania declared unconstitutional Pennsylvania's no excuse mail-in voting law, which permits voters to cast their ballots by mail without providing an excuse for their absence. What is Hawaii's justification for all mail-in ballots? Also, Mr. Scott Nago, I have asked for information from you multiple times. It took 3 weeks to get a response. I would like to know what's the proper response time. When are you ever actually in the office? And on top of it, what is your schedule like? I would love to have an actual meeting with you, as I have actually declared information that is public record allowed by the people and being denied this time and time again. Not to mention a staffing issue. I'm not sure. I really don't like the runaround, but your staff is very good at not being transparent and just saying, we will get back to you. The training reminds me so much of what people do who hide information. Also, to all of you guys, you are absolutely shameful when it comes to your discussions in your commission boards. You guys appear to know nothing about anything, which blows my mind. And you readily say it. Oh, I was absolutely clueless. Absolutely acceptable. Shame on
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your testimony. By the way, I'll please you on one thing. This hopefully will be our last not in-person meeting. We had to do what we are doing because of COVID, okay? We were forced to not have in-person meetings. That will be changing shortly. Thank you.
Okay, when you say
Okay,
forced,
next,
are you
please.
talking about sunshine law? Are
Next,
you talking
please.
about sunshine law?
Next, please.
Next testifier is Andy Crossland, followed by Richard Akiona.
Good morning, Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this testimony on agenda item 4. I would like to show some video clips from the Hawaii Elections Commission last meeting on April 1st this year. Who really needs conspiracy theories about the election when you have commissioners saying things like this during an open and public meeting?
The database, we haven't done penetration testing. We don't have an air gap system. That means that many people have the ability to go into our systems and make the data be what they want it to be.
Believe me, I know zip about computers.
I didn't understand most of what you said at the last meeting.
And I don't either, and believe me, I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah, we use a very large company out of Texas that does this whole thing.
It cannot be that whatever this company is that we're using is doing the extent of what is needed.
I only talked to the guy for like 20 minutes and my brains were falling out of my ears, but they do a lot of stuff. I want to know what our system does and should be doing and can do. They're the ones who know. You don't know, I don't know. I want to read from people who know what the heck they're talking about.
So what this tells me is that the commission that is given oversight of Hawaii's elections is stating that they do not or cannot understand the state's electronic voting system and how it works. They essentially stating that they are unqualified to make the determination if a reasonable objection is raised. Next, I would like to show some video clips of the chairman of this commission during the last meeting, where he seems to have clear disdain and disregard for the duties of this commission.
I've worked elections. I have seen how hard people work. Nobody is there trying to screw things.
Technical difficulties.
I've worked elections. I have seen how hard people work. Nobody is there trying to screw things up. I get irritated when I know people have done this stuff. They've said what they've done, and people just don't want to believe them. We want to go into executive session to have that discussion, then come out of executive session and let the public know what we're doing. Because there are some things that may come up that we don't have, we shouldn't be telling the whole world.
No,
Normally when we discuss among ourselves the merits, we do that in an executive session.
and that's
No. I do know that there's a lot of eyes on our election, and there's just not a lot of there. There's no perfect system. I don't think a perfect system really exists, except maybe, I don't know, the CIA or whatever, but there's other things that are worth talking about. And I just don't want to waste a lot of people's time.
So based on this evidence, I would like to suggest that any members of the commission who are unqualified or unwilling to perform the duties of their position, which include investigating and holding hearings for receiving evidence of any violations and complaints, shall be relieved of their duties immediately. This especially includes the chair of the commission, Scotty Anderson. We also need to go back to common sense, hand-counted, in-person, paper ballots only. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Next testifier is Richard Akiona, followed by Keilani Ho.
Are you there?
The chair will move on to the next testifier, Keilani Ho, followed by Thomas Stanton.
Aloha, my name is Keikilani Ho, and I am speaking to agenda number 4, which is the status of operations report from the Chief Election Officer. Yesterday, I received a response to my question for the Office of Elections after 4 follow-up emails dating back to July 16th, but I wanted to point out several issues. I recently received access to the cast vote records, but the CVR did not contain all data requested. There were no timestamps, tabulator ID, locations, ballot style, and there were no tabulator or adjudication logs. I would like to note that this transparency with the Office of Elections are very concerning. We also requested poll tapes, ballot images, election definition files, and voter rolls. The response from the Office of Elections was that the ballot images and election definition files fall into the category of documents that are exempt from disclosure. As we work to request the data rolls from the county clerks, I would like to request that the Office of Elections provide internal records that list ballot images and election definition files as exempt from disclosure. There was also concern for the mailing of ballots taking place earlier than the published schedule, which was originally supposed to be received on July 25th. The ballot collection boxes being opened in advance is also a concern. I would think that sending out the ballots and opening the ballot deposit boxes ahead of schedule would take a lot of coordination countywide. My question is, why was this done? Not only were these done in advance, they were not secure and they were not in well-lit areas, and we have video documentation of this. What's also concerning is that my son chose to vote by Dropbox, and his vote was not received. When I called the Office of Elections, they confirmed that they had not received his vote. So where did his vote go? I also questioned the TV print advertisements from the Office of Elections that stated there will be no in-person voting. And as we all know, that is considered false advertising, as there were voter centers open for people to walk in and cast their vote. That is voter suppression. I question if the results of the election were provided to the media outlets before the first report is printed, and the Office of Elections responded stating the results are provided to both media outlets and the public voters after all have voted. Yet, ballots without signatures were not cured, and there were still thousands of ballots still awaiting processing. An article published by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution announced Josh Green and Duke Iona as the primary election winners 14 hours before 9:08 p.m. on August 13th, Hawaii Standard Time. When I questioned a particular media employee, they stated they have no correspondence with anyone from the Office of Elections except for Scott Nago in regards to the election results. And we have timestamps that correlate with this article. I also have an affidavit from a volunteer for the Maui County Clerk's Office stating on August 4th, after documenting the V drives and securing them in a metal orange box, he locked it with a serial number lock and took the box to a locked secure room where it was opened by security for him to place the box in. When he returned to work on August 6th, he realized the lock he had placed on the orange box, as well as V drive observer and serial number tracking form, were missing. That means someone had accessed the secure room and secure box and removed the lock and form for the box. Those are my concerns. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next.
Next testifier is Thomas Stanton, followed by Chester Lum.
Yes, my name is Tom Stanton. I'm the HRP District 15 Chair for Kauai. I'm also the designated election integrity chair for Kauai. I'm here to report on two, what I consider very serious ballot chain of custody discrepancies with our local Kauai elections division. The first occurred in 2022 primary, and the second was in the 2020 general election. Both of these discrepancies were discovered by a member of our board of registration, Ralph Cushney, very recently. And when he asked for the official ballot numbers that were received by the elections division for the drop boxes and the US Postal Service. For the 2022 primary, the results did not include specific numbers for the dates of July 28th and July 29th. There were no specific numbers for the ballot box, excuse me, the drop box pickups or the US Postal Service pickups, only a final total. The number of ballots that came in for those 2 days was 1,905 ballots. When asked for why there was no specific numbers, our election division initially said that the ballots were mixed up. And that doesn't make sense because of the ballot chain of custody logs that are in. After follow-up, the elections division has admitted in writing that those records for those 2 days has been misplaced. So we have no ballot chain of custody records for 1,905 ballots that were counted in the 2022 primary. Mr. Cushney's question and mine is, how could the Kauai Elections Division certify those results without? Secondly, for the 2020 general election, Mr. Cushney asked for those same figures for the received official ballot numbers from drop boxes and the US Postal Service. When he received those numbers from the elections division, he compared those to the final summary that the state put out. It turned out that there were 3,379 more ballots on the final summary report that our elections division has records for. Okay. Again, how could those results be certified if there's no chain of custody for those 3,379 ballots? So I feel like this is very serious. It needs to be investigated and it needs to be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Next testifier is Chester Lum, followed by Benjamin Cole.
Hey, good morning. My name is Chester Lum. I want to thank everyone involved for allowing me to testify. I don't represent any group and I'm here as a private citizen. My testimony is based on the primary election 2022 State of Hawaii statewide summary report number 5 with a printout date of 8/25/2022 at 2:21 p.m. on the Office of Elections website. I'm focusing on the Democratic and Republican governor's election statistics. Based on page 1 of summary report number 5 for the Democratic and Republican governor's total vote count, and page 7 of the same report showing Democratic and Republican total voter turnout, there are 13,206 more tally votes than the number of combined Democratic and Republican voter turnouts. From page 1 of summary report number 5, the total number of tallied Democratic votes for governor is 255,447. From page 7 of the same report, the total number of Democratic mail-in and in-person turnout is 245,588. I expected these totals to be the same, but there are 9,859 more tally votes than Democratic turnouts. From page 1 of summary report number 5, the total number of Republican votes for governor is 77,250. From page 7 of the same report, the total number of Republican mail-in and in-person turnout is 73,903. I also expected these totals to be the same, but there are 3,347 more tallied votes than Republican turnout. The sum of 9,859 and 3,347 is 13,206 more tallied votes than turnout of Democratic and Republican parties combined. You can't have more votes counted than people who turn out. A written explanation needs to be provided in an expedited manner to account for this discrepancy and its resolution. As it stands now, this report, number 5, will only provide doubt on the integrity of the 2022 primary election. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Next testifier is Benjamin Cole, followed by Ray B.
What's your name? My name is Ray. Ray, will you have family kids? Am I on?
Who's up? Next.
All right. My name is Benjamin Cole. This is my second time down here to the actual Office of Elections. I want to start off by just saying I think it's pretty absurd and ridiculous that none of the people that work here are actually here or are willing to talk or engage with any of the folks who have come down to actually provide testimony. I also think it's ridiculous that nobody here understands what a cast vote record is. They don't understand any of the procedures along with this election. And it's also in some of the chairman's own words, they don't know what the hell's going on. And so it makes me question, why are we having computer systems so advanced that the people that are in charge of running these elections don't even understand how to work them? Why can we not get a clear replay of what happened during the election? Why do so many people have no idea what happened to their votes? I'm one of them. Like when I was leaving and the machine said it took my vote, where do I go to see where it says who I actually voted for? Where is that QA check? Why is nobody able to actually walk us through the process and show us exactly where all these votes went, where all the ballots went? And the fact that there is zero transparency in this entire process is completely unacceptable. We have voter database servers that are completely unprotected. They have no protection from outside hackers. Even if the machines are safe, the voter records are not. And I think that some of the meetings that the Elections Commission has had has really brought to light some of the failures of this group. And I think that it is completely unacceptable that the people that are running this election don't even know the actual process or where to get the information that the public wants. If we want to have vote cast records, then that information should be readily available to us. We should not have to come down to the department multiple times to try to request these records. If the election is as clean and smooth as you say it is, then you should be able to prove that. And you should be able to put your money where your mouth is and provide this information when the public requests it. And you should have better answers than I don't know what the hell is going on, or this computer guy made my head explode. This kind of stuff is completely unacceptable for public officials, and especially those that are running the elections. Because if we don't have trust and we don't have fair elections, what do we have? And if we can't trust you, then we need to replace you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next.
Next testifier is Ray B, followed by Inoka Shane Bingo. Okay, we'll move on to the next testifier, Inoka Shane Bingo, followed by Emil Tercina.
Right here. Yeah. Yeah. Hello, everybody.
there's so many things wrong with this election process already. We got the 2022 primary cast vote records that you guys provided us with. That thing looks so doctored and created out of, that's not the actual cast vote records. So if you guys could please provide us with the actual raw data, we could start there. But the fact that Stafford is sitting right behind me in his office while he's sitting on the Zoom, Nago is someplace back in this warehouse. We see the I-beam, brother. And the rest of you guys is all hiding in this back while you get people standing. No chairs available. This is so freaking unprofessional, you guys. Secondly, these ballot drop boxes, they're not working. You guys said that they're gonna increase voter turnout. It's not increasing anything. The voter turnout actually dropped from previous years. Now, as an elector, okay, as a tax-paying person, you guys, we pay for all of these boxes to be out here. I move that all of you guys scrap this idea, get rid of the voter roster and the voter rolls every single election, primary and general. Right now, get rid of the damn voter roster because you have a bunch of dead weight on that. There's 100,000 mistakes you guys can make. You guys admitted it. So if you guys can just clear the whole freaking roster and have us all actually register, primary, general, next election, register again, because the people who care about what happens in the politics in Hawaii will actually show up to register. How's about we just do that so that you guys don't have to sit here and make up all of these excuses of why you guys don't know how to do your job? That's a very clear and cut way to just get it all done right now. I don't need my whole 3 minutes. Just do your job and govern yourselves accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Next testifier is Emil Tercina, followed by Marcel Viana.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Emil Tercina. I was part of those groups which were coming here for the last 2 weeks, and we got almost nothing. So we were ready to come for the third time yesterday, but for some reason, I got a response from the Office of Election, hello, and I got a link to 2 files. I was asking specifically for cast vote record, which will be like spreadsheet, comma delimited text file, anything you can provide me with so we can analyze it as a database. Well, I got one file, which was 180,000 records, which I found absolutely useless because they are in PDF file. And you have to be, extracting it for probably a year or something. The second file was HTML file, which means, it was programmed. Every file which I opened had a HTML code in it. And I could see some useful information there. Of course, not what I was looking for, which was the barcode from the ballot. But again, I saw the information in each individual file. Those files matched the number. 340,159 cast ballots, as was published on August 25th. But again, I would have to extract this information 300,159 times, which is absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, I was able, based on the date of creation, every single file, get together a little chart for you. Maybe you can see it. This show actually, I don't know, it's blurry. Anyway, but I based it on those modification dates. And what it shows right away, there are big red flags. First of all, there's almost 10,000 ballots which were supposed to be modified on January 1st, 2022, before they were even printed or assigned to anybody. There is also spike of ballots which were counted after the election. Almost 60,000 ballots were counted after the election, where we know that those people which were voting in person, there were less than 10,000 of those. So again, there are big red flags. Please do your job. I request today the cast vote record in a form we asked for on September 1st, 2022. It's stamped by your office. We were here. We specifically asked for specific data. Then we came a week later, again, stamped by your officers and got nothing. So please make sure this is honest election, it's transparent and not some kind of criminal enterprise.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next.
Next testifier is Marcel Liana, followed by Carlota Oquendo. The chair will move on to the next testifier, Carlota Oquendo, followed by Nicolette von Wiegand.
Who do we have?
Okay, we'll move on to Nicolette von Wiegand, followed by Austin Elder.
To speak to you.
Okay,
I
I'm not
hope you can
hearing
hear
you.
me. I'm on mute. Hello, this is
Hello.
Nicolette.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh, shoot.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So I was glad to hear other people talking about many of the things I was also going to talk about. Of course, the inflated voter rolls of probably more than 200,000, the 60,000 unaddressable ballots that came in, and also that the people that said that that's just okay, that's not that bad. Well, it's pretty bad. And then, of course, no chain of custody on any records at any ballot boxes in, it's just ridiculous. I can't even believe it. So I'm actually demanding that from here forward, only paper ballots on the day of voting are to be accepted with no running them through any computer or machine. They have to be hand counted. I'm sure there's enough people in Hawaii be more than willing to come down and count them ballots by hand and then have a custody of them. And then also this is something I haven't heard yet anybody talk about, but this is what I know for a fact, okay? Because I stood and watched the votes coming in on 2016 here in the Ainahaina region. And I watched them register people the day of voting and let them vote. I watched them do it. And then I also watched them tell people that when the machine wouldn't take their ballot, that then they could just do it again. No, you're supposed to make the person do it themselves. If it just goes in second time, what happens at that moment is that anybody who's in the back room can vote for them however they want. And then this is the big one. This is the big one, guys. We have all the unions in Hawaii giving the newcomers, to say the carpenters union, I have facts and proof of this, and the teachers union, they give them a registration form and they're supposed to sign it without voting. And then they give that registration form to this person, whoever it is, and they take all those registration forms and then vote for the new union member. Now, let me tell you, I talked to a teacher once and she thought that was just fine because she was going to vote that way anyway, whatever. The point is, there's these new kids coming into the unions, especially the carpenters union is one of them. And what happens is, if they do not sign that registration form, they somehow miraculously fail the test. Okay, now these are boys that I know personally. They have said, no, I don't want to have you vote for me. I'm going to vote for myself. And they then fail the test. Okay, there's something really wrong here. Nobody should be collecting up a bunch of registration forms at a union and then sending them over and then voting for those kids. I am furious about this. And I'm finally so glad that I have a chance to tell you that that is happening in our states, plus all the old folks homes, hello, and think of all the other unions that I don't even know about.
Thank you very much. The 3 months are up. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would really appreciate you telling people you'll take what we're saying into consideration.
Thank you. We will. Thank you. Next.
The chair will go back to Carlota Oquendo. Carlota Oquendo.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay, great. Okay, so yes, Sherry Okendo here. And I am running for the state representative for District 45. Now, in my district, there are 3 of us running under the Republican ticket. And the final count after the recount, there was a 5-vote difference between Tiana Wilbur and myself. So when the printouts came out for the fourth printouts, there was a total of 1,145 votes. And there was an 8-vote difference between Tiana Wilbur and myself. And when the next run had come out, which was report number 5, because they did a recount by electronic scanning again, the number was reduced by 5. So there is an increase of 25 votes total from printout 4 to printout 5. And if that in itself does not reflect and prove that there is a disparity when we continue to utilize electronic ballots, electronic tallies for voting. Now, in HRS 16-42, under B, it states that the chief election officer may rely on electronic tallies created directly by electronic voting systems in lieu of counting the paper ballots by hand or with a mechanical tabulation system if, and under 3, it says the chief election officer conducts a post-election pre-certification audit of a random sample of not less than 10% of the precincts, employing the electronic voting system to verify that the electronic tallies generated by the system in those precincts equal hand tallies of the paper ballots generated by the system in those precincts. So, sir, I want to know, when can we count on hand tallies being generated? As I have just shown, that the electronic tallies are not accurate. If it's showing a 25 difference between printout 4 and printout 5, that is proof in of itself that a hand count should take place. So I yield and I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next.
Next testifier is Austin Elder, followed by Corey Ascension.
Hey everybody. I wanted to come up here today as a concerned father, concerned citizen, just for how this has been conducted. You know, 2-3 minutes after all these votes were, you know, the ballot places were closed, you guys had electors. And then so supposedly you guys have had audits and things. I know that there's been cases and evidence submitted to District Court of Hawaii, to the Supreme Court of Hawaii, that minutes after they're submitted, they're closed. Okay, so what the people are wanting is just honesty and transparency. These are nothing crazy to ask for. This is what this country is built upon. There's due process for a reason. So, you know, the fact that all of us come here, honestly, is kind of a joke that we have to come here and make sure you guys are doing your job. You know, because on a global scale, there's some things happening that are not in favor of the people. And the sad thing is, there's too many people that aren't unaware. I don't know how many of you are aware, but if you are, shame on you. God is watching this. This movement is bigger than any one person. This movement is based off truth and transparency and aloha. The Queen was right when she said that aloha can save the world, but it's up to us to actually bring that to pass. I don't really have much more to say, but you know, we are watching you guys. We are watching you. It's not just parents, it's grandparents, there's so many people. So, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Next, please.
Next testifier is Corey Ascension, followed by Chesapeake Knight.
Aloha guys, my name is Corey the Pitbull, and all of you there, I want you to remember my name, Corey the Pitbull, okay? All right, we're all here for a reason, guys. We're all here for a certain reason, and all of you know it, what the reason is. And it's a shame that you guys gotta hide behind closed doors and not face us like Josh Green. Very simple. If there was honesty, you would stand and shake our hand and say, how you guys doing? But when you hide behind closed doors, it only shows you're guilty. You're guilty of something that you're taking away from the people of Hawaii. It's in your hands. You guys know what you guys did in this election. What happened to the votes, what's going on, it's in your head. Is it really worth it? Your freedom and your life. Sit there behind your closed doors. Is it really worth it that you will never see your kids again? All of you, never see your house, your home. Think about it. It's a crime. It's a crime. Louis Kealoha, Captain Kealoha, they was on the top. Where are they now? Think about that, guys. If I was you, throw in a towel. This election was rigged and we know it. Why are you guys so quiet? Look at all of you, not even moving. Because you know what I'm talking about. I'm here for the people. 1.42 million people. That's what I'm here to represent. There's only like 15, 20 of us, but we represent 1.42 million people that you're in charge of, that you're gonna ruin. And that's part of your family, your grandma, your cousin, your aunties, all of you, your daughters, your sons. Do you really wanna go this far? Is it really worth it, what you guys are doing? Trust me, prison is not a good place to be. Think about that. If you know what's going on, there's always a weak link, someone where you're interned, they'll throw in a towel because they don't want no part of this bandwagon. Nobody wants to. They're sitting in prison for life. Same corruption that's going on right now. Don't ever think you're above the law. Don't ever think you're above the law, because you know why? It's gonna come sooner or later, and we're not going nowhere. BJ Penn is here to save our state, to give love and aloha to your family, to your kids, but you sit behind closed doors and you want to govern it with your secrecy that you're for the big people. The big people won't be in jail with you. They'll throw you to the wolves. They don't care. 30 years, bro. All of you guys right now look about 50, 60. 30 years is your lifetime. You're done. You're gone. Corruption, gone. You're gone. Trust me, bro. I've been there. You guys know what happens in prison. You don't want to be there right now. Think about every day what Catherine and Louis is going through every day. He put people in jail. She put people in jail. They are on them every minute, every second. They're crying. Do you folks want to be there? All of you. I'm looking at your face. So you, Scott Nago, you got the same pit, the same bricks right behind you. It's right here, right in front of us. Hi. Dude, if you guys was honest, okay? If you guys was honest, you would be here shaking our hands, because lives matter. Your children, your grandma, your tutu, their lives matter like our lives matter. This is Hawaii, guys. Yeah, that was fast, huh?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
1 minute.
Thanks.
But you, Scott Anderson, think about it, bro, because it's a wrong thing.
Thank you very much.
Wrong
Next,
thing
please.
all of you guys are doing. And I stand
Next
here.
testifier is Chesapeake Knight, followed by Jarek Madero.
We ain't go-
Okay, Chair will move on to testifier Jarek Madero, followed by Tina Powell.
Aloha, Commission. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to testify on these important issues. Pretty much speechless to see what had unfolded. And I look at Mr. Nago when he give interviews. His lips shake, his eyes blink without him blinking. And that's signs of dishonesty. You know, here in Hawaii, I'm a strong supporter of the Hawaiian Kingdom laws. Why? Because this exact reason, yeah, there's some things that is kapu, yeah, we the people, kapu. When people like you guys do what you guys did just now in this election, this primary, huh? You guys admit before the election that going to get 60,000 mistakes. And yet you guys have the nerve to move forward with this. You guys should be fired, Mr. Nago. Fired. There's no excuse to having 60,000 mistakes done on the people of Hawaii. You know, these HRSs that you guys create, these statutes, yeah, the state create. It's not laws, it's statutes. Okay. But I would like to see all the statutes you guys making. I would like to see what laws you guys revising. You know, the United States Constitution that you guys just swore in on. You swore in the new guys, huh? That is illegal. Illegal, yeah. Illegal. Listen, the illegal occupation is real. Yeah, the elephant in the room. Illegal occupation. When it's time for your guys' turn to stand in line behind Ige and his administration, Josh Green, yeah, Duke Iona, all these guys, Kai Kahele, constitutional oath breakers, you guys find no problem with violating your guys' own constitution. Don't you guys find something wrong with that? 130 years we deal with this crap. 130 years. And you know what? It's time for us from Hawaii, born and raised from Hawaii, yeah? It's time for us to step up and excuse you guys. The state, the illegal occupation real, you guys, President Clinton signed off on it. A bill of apology, I don't accept his apology. What I accept though, is that he admittedly saying that the illegal occupation is real. Now, how are we supposed to trust you guys with your guys' proof and your guys' evidence that everything is illegal, what you guys doing? It's not a fair, the most unsecured election ever in the history of this fake state.
Okay, thank you very much. You've exceeded your time. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Next, please.
The next testifier is Tina Powell, followed by Adriel Lam. The chair will move on to testifier Adriel Lam, followed by Keone Payton.
Okay, aloha, Chair Anderson, Commissioners and Chief Election Officer Nago. I'm testifying in, we were told in 2019 elections by mail would increase voter participation, reduce the cost for elections. Now, I just asked the Commission to reconsider the facts and its over-reliance on electronic voting systems and elections by mail. 2022, the special primary and general election both results in 25.74% participation. As you all know, that 2022 primary election was also at 39.8% voter participation. In 2018, we're told the actual expenses for elections by precincts was 6.4 million after a previous report said it was 7.3 million. And they were told that in 2020, the elections would only cost 6.4 million, but resulted in 8.4 million costs for the 2020 elections by mail. Now we're projected to be spent 8.2 million for elections by mail in 2022. Voter participation has not improved, and neither has elections by mail been more cost effective. Voter confidence in the conduct of elections continue to erode when known vulnerabilities and errors are public knowledge, yet HRS 1642 are not being followed to relate concerns about electronic voting systems. At DEF CON 21 Cybersecurity Conference, University of Michigan graduate student presented Unclear Ballot, a automated ballot imaging manipulation software. This was demonstrated to prove that ballot images could be altered on heart verity systems. They tested this on 181,541 ballots in Clackamas County from the November 6, 2016 election. They were able to alter 62,000, or roughly 34% of the ballots. the ballot alteration only took 352 milliseconds per scan, or 2 times 79 milliseconds per scan, when the heart system took 352 milliseconds to scan each ballot. That's well within the threshold of altering the ballots before anyone can detect it. They also testify that no vendor has any minimal imaging detection software to detect this kind of changes. I've provided the report to you, to your office election to review that. In 2022, the DeKalb County Commissioner primary election, the third place finisher was declared the first place winner after the hand count. This was detected after there was known switching of the ballot places due to electronic voting systems. I highlight this because I brought this up before with the commission about election audits, counting the ballots, hand counting the ballots of the precincts to make sure that they are equal to electronic vote tallies. In Kauai County, the ballots were presented to the counting center by precincts, but the elections office went and mixed them into unsorted piles for batch scanning. I've asked that the hand counting be brought back into our process. It's not a time-consuming or complex process, but it can be done. Advanced economies do this in Taiwan and France, and we need to bring our elections process back into the 21st century. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Wan. Next, please.
Next testifier is Keone Teaton, followed by Alico Valdez. Okay, we'll move on to Alico Valdez, followed by Keelan Navarez. Okay, we'll move on to Keelan Navarez, followed by James Ryan Malish.
Okay, this is Alika. Hi, my name is Alika Valdez. You can call me Aloha Red Robin. But whatever you guys doing with the election, gotta stop. Because one thing for sure, I'm investigating every one of you guys' addresses, phone number, and anywhere you guys go, anytime you shut us down, I will find you and I'll expose where your whereabouts and where your addresses and where you guys stay, okay? And I run background checks all the time just for fraud issues and stuff, okay? If you guys mess around with these people, like anybody that's in the election, and you break the election this time again, I will find you guys. I'm honest about that. And I know where you guys stay. Like I said, I am a private investigator. Call me that. Aloha, Red Robin. Aloha. All I gotta say.
That's a threat, right?
Next testifier is Keelan Navarez.
Okay, go ahead.
How's it? You guys can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Cleo Nicole. I'm not gonna testify about the elections and all the codes you guys are violating. There's a lot more people on this Zoom call and behind me that's way smarter than I am. But what I will talk about is life. There's a lot of men and women on this call who have family, who have to go home to their family and look at them in the face and say, you guys did what you guys supposed to do for Hawaii. And I bet all of you will not go home today and look at your kids, look at your wives, your husbands, and say, I did right by Hawaii. Because if you guys were, you guys would be standing right next to us, steadfast. You guys would have integrity and transparency. You guys would shake our hands. But just like every other organization in Hawaii, the DOH, the DOE, all these politicians in the offices right now, you guys are putting the blame, or you guys are putting your secretaries, your front office people in the crossfire, because you guys do not have the mana to stand in front of us. You guys don't have that integrity. You guys don't have that will. You guys don't have that power. Without the title, you guys are powerless. If you guys can honestly say, you guys will go home, look at your kids, tuck them in at night, and say, Daddy is making a better future for you, or Mommy is making a better future for you, then step out. Scott Nago, I drove from Hawaii Kai to come see you in person, to shake your hand. And I know you in the office. Stafford, I see you too. You quiet in your back office, but none of you guys are standing firm with us. If you guys were, you guys would be here with us. You guys don't have transparency. You guys don't have integrity. You guys don't care about the people. And that's the problem with Hawaii, is all of you who are in charge are hiding behind your secretaries, your front offices, and making them take the rap so that you guys can get paid all these big bucks.
Yep.
And go home at night and sleep on your comfy little pillows while Hawaii suffers.
Yep.
So if you guys can live with that for the rest of your life, and if your kids, when they look up, I wonder what my daddy did. I wonder what my mommy did. When they go on Google, they're gonna see the truth. And you think they'll be proud? Because I bet you right now, if my kids Googled me, I bet you they'll be proud. They'll have a man who stands up for them, tucking them in at night, and not a coward. Aloha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next.
Next testify is James Ryan Malish, followed by Laura Nakanelua.
Just a second. Want me to hold it?
No.
Go ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair, and all those that are in attendance. There's a few things I'd like to touch on for the record. One of the things I'd like to touch on is government waste and waste of money. You know, gas is like, well, it's gone down a little, but at $6 a gallon, every penny counts nowadays. And you guys wasted $500,000 in mail-in voting just in postage alone, because you said that if you did mail-in voting, you get more voter participation, but let the record reflect the opposite happened, and all you did was waste more money. $500,000 just in postage. Cynthia Tanaka, are you leaving? Should we stop my time? Why did she get up and walk away? The other thing I'd like to talk about, thank you for attending. Thank you for that. The other thing I'd like to talk about is what the military did after we invaded Iraq. Okay, we set up their pony of a government much like this one, but one of the things that we required was that people show up in person, present ID, vote in person, and stain their hand to prove that they couldn't go somewhere else and vote. That's how you get election integrity, okay? And now, if we're gonna talk about seriously changing politics here in Hawaii, first and foremost, no government employee should be allowed to vote because they're just voting to keep their job. Same with the unions. Tens of thousands of people just voting to keep their job. They could care less about the people, all right? And this is the most fundamental, basic right of our society. It's the most important one is voting. So on that, I'd just like to leave my last minute or so left talking about how the Office of Elections on their own database labels nonpartisan as a political party. When I registered as a nonpartisan candidate, it said choose your political party. Now, maybe I'm the only one that understands English better than all of you here, but nonpartisan means you're not a part of a party. Yet, when it comes to the primary election, every single candidate, if you're a libertarian and you're not going up against another libertarian, you automatically move forward to the general. Same thing with any of the other parties, except nonpartisan, because we play whatever role we want, right? City council, that's all nonpartisan. If you don't have anybody running against you, you get to advance to the general. I had nobody running against me in Senate District 9 as a nonpartisan, yet I'm not allowed to move forward. And Scott, one of these days, I'm gonna see you in court. Now, just because the judicial system doesn't give a damn about due process, don't think that it's gonna stop here on the state level or the federal level. Eventually, we're gonna go to SCOTUS. And once we get rid of the 11th Amendment that protects your ass, you're gone, you're done.
Thank you. Next.
Next testifier is Laura Nakanelua, followed by Ralph Cushing.
Aloha, Chair Anderson and the commissioners. Thank you so much for your service. I appreciate what you all are doing to serve the people of Hawaii in your capacities. I understand that it's a difficult job. I understand as well the challenges inherent in understanding all the complicated details affiliated with an electronic all mail-in ballot voting system in Hawaii. That is actually a big problem. I'd like to see us go back to hand-counted ballots only. In fact, the Republican Party officially sent a letter to Governor Ige requesting the cessation of all electronic systems in our elections process here in Hawaii. The Elections Commission should have been copied on it. If you have not been, I will send that forward immediately later today. So I've been testifying on the commission meetings, as you all know, since December of 2020. And I would like to state that I know that we're all here to try to improve the process of our elections here in Hawaii. I thank all of the commissioners for doing their due diligence and trying as hard as you can to understand the challenges that are being brought before you. We have a lot of impassioned people here today. There is a reason for that. As someone before me recently said, it is our most basic right. And I know that we all agree that we want our votes counted fairly and justly, accurately. So I would say that while I do not wag a finger at the elections commissioners, some of them were appointed before we even had mail-in ballot voting. I will say that ignorance is not an excuse, especially when you have somebody on the commission like William Dean, Commissioner Dean, who has stated the truth that is now known across the world, not just our country, but across the world. And that is that electronic systems and electronic voting machines are completely hackable and 100% vulnerable to foreign and domestic interference in our electoral process. So and Commissioner Dean is actually a cybersecurity expert himself. So I would say, please do your best to heed his advice. And if you need to educate yourselves further, by all means, the information is out there. There are some major issues. We've talked about the vulnerabilities inherent in the electronic voting machines. And we have talked about the lack of chain of custody here in Hawaii. We can close that. We've talked about unsecured drop boxes and finally bloated voter rolls. The best solution in my mind is to go back to all one person, one vote day of in person and a hand count of those paper ballots. It has been done in North Korea. South Korea. I don't want to state the millions of people that voted. Adriel has a handle on that, but it can be done without a doubt in a very small state like we have here in Hawaii.
Thank you very much.
I think that we should ask for the solution. And Chair Anderson, I just want to mention, I did submit a letter, and I believe it's in the materials, that actually came from our Hawaii GOP Chair, Lynn Finnegan, requesting that we just try our best to find a time and date that is good for all commissioners so that someone like Commissioner Lillian Kohler, who does work full-time, can join. I believe she's usually available after 2 or 3 in the afternoon every day.
Thank you very much. A lot of our commissioners work full-time, okay? Not just Lillian Kohler.
I'm only politely asking, that's all, Chair. Thank you very much.
We do think we would love to have her here, seriously.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, please.
Next testifier is Ralph Cushing, followed by Raymond Banda.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to leave you guys with a simple item. It's to enforce HRS 1642. HRS 1642 allows electronic voting machines to be used if certain criteria are met. So I'm going to read from the law. No electronic voting shall be used in any election unless it generates a paper ballot or voter verifiable paper audit trail that may be inspected and corrected by the voter before the vote is cast. And unless every paper ballot or voter verifiable paper audit trail is retained as the definitive record of the vote cast. The chief election officer may rely on electronic tallies created directly by electronic voting systems in lieu of counting paper ballots by hand or with mechanical tabulation system if, number 3, the chief election officer conducts a post-election pre-certification audit of a random sample of not less than 10% of the precincts employing the electronic voting system to verify the electronic tallies generated by the system in those precincts equal hand tallies of the paper ballots. This was not done. And I ask you guys to ask Mr. Nago if that was done. So the first audit that was done, the pre-certification audit, there was ballots that were pre-selected and handpicked, and they were the first ballots that ran through the machines. Those are not random ballots. The second audit that was done used computer images to compare 2 precincts on the island of Kauai. I have an affidavit by an observer that was there. They did not use the paper ballots to compare to the machine tallies. So what I'm asking for the commission to do is direct Mr. Nago to get the actual paper ballots, which are the definitive record of the vote cast, and have him in each district or each island. For Kauai, there are 2 precincts that were audited. They need to be done with the paper ballots, not with the machine images. As Adriel Lamb said, a machine image can be manipulated, Photoshop, whatever. There's documentation can be done. So it's very simple. You'd say, Mr. You go back and you comply with HRS 1642 and you count the paper ballots that were cast.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Next.
Next testifier is Raymond Vanda, followed by Annalisa Burgess.
Good morning, Hawaii. Thank you all so much for coming to this meeting that I've called at the last minute notice. Today's topic that we're going to be talking about is basically a civilized human involvement within the Office of Election. Now, a lot has been sneaking by from what I've been noticing on the latest moments and tidal wave of trends that have been developing, not just this election, but the last couple of elections prior to. One of the most notable one that you all will recall, had to get something to quench my thirst while I prepared to lay down a verbal assault on the people responsible. It'll almost be like a mugging. So allow me to get my that's a thriller. All right, time to get sassy. Where was I? The pattern of kind of like leading to the misconduct and lack of oversight that we've been observing was predominantly made itself visible during one of the most important elections of our current time, which everybody here has been a part of, which was known as the vote to approve or disapprove the Honolulu Rail. Now, before this got forced down people's throats and willing to accept it, people were only allowed to testify in 3-minute increments to our people at time. But in order to carefully select who we elect, the Office of Elections needs to enable us an adequate amount of time, so that way these people can properly be vetted and researched by the public. So that way, anytime these kind of issues arise, they are not only prepared to handle them, but the possible plans of how to address it have been raised and brought up, and concerns have been brought up from the public. They have listened. And this is one of the most topics that is being repeatedly dismissed and disregarded by our elected officials. And we need the Office of Elections to step up and enable us a more strict control to really be the guardians and safekeepers of the access to these kinds of offices. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next.
Next testifier is Annalisa Burgess.
This small increment.
Hi, aloha, everybody. I'm Annalisa Burgos. I'm with Hawaiian News Now. I'm actually here covering this story about just a lot of the feedback that you have been getting today. I know this is really meant for public testimony, but I wanted to see and ask any of you if you're willing to kind of just address, the concerns or the frustrations that some of the people have testified about today. If there's any kind of feedback as to whether you would be willing to meet in person, if this group would come back to public in-person meetings as opposed to doing this by Zoom. I honestly thought there was going to be an in-person opportunity to talk to some of you. So that's why, I'm here. But if there's any comments or any kind of feedback you can give me for my story, I would appreciate it. Otherwise, that's pretty much it.
Let
And I appreciate the work that you guys are
I've said this earlier. Let me just say this again. The only reason we've been doing Zoom is that all went with COVID. Okay, for long before I got involved, the meetings were always at 10 o'clock in the morning. They were in downtown Honolulu, and we are going to go back to that. That will be in a public building. So we are going to that. The only reason we're on Zoom again is COVID forced us that. And I'm hoping this is the last time we ever have to meet like this. So, and you are of course more than welcome to talk to any of the commissioners after if they want to talk to you. That's fine. Thank you. Or any of the staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chair, there are no more testifiers.
There are no more testifiers?
Correct.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So now we're going to executive session.
Chair,
Yes.
I wanted to mention that Commissioner Aquino is in the meeting now. If you wanted
Oh,
to
we'd like to
have her sworn in,
swear
please.
the commissioner in, please. Where are you, Commissioner?
Yes, Chair.
Oh, hi. I didn't know that was you. Thank you. Okay, I've never seen a picture of you, so I didn't know that was you. All right. We have our Attorney General here who can give you the oath of office.
Hello, Commissioner. Could you please repeat after me? I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Hawaii,
and the Constitution of the State of Hawaii,
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties
as an elections commissioner to the best of my ability.
as an elections commissioner to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. So we are now, as we don't, by the way, I want to thank all those who gave testimony today. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry that some of the short subjects of myself are a little bit embarrassing, but I'm not a computer expert, but I'm a people expert. That's what my job is here. And I want to make very clear, because some people don't seem to understand this. The members of this commission are not paid. They're all volunteers. So having said that, we need to go, I want to call for a motion to enter into executive session so we can improve the executive session minutes of April 1st. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed? Motion carries. So we are going to go into executive session. We will be back later.
Mr. Chair? You're muted. Everybody's muted. Everybody's muted.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Stafford, you're still, Cynthia, you're still, Claire, you're still muted.
So now that we're in open session, I'd like to address the issue of whether communications received by the Office of Elections should be made a part of the agenda or minutes and made part of the public record.
Oh, it's not on the agenda. We can't actually discuss it.
Could you put it on the agenda for next meeting, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, we can.
Thank you.
We're missing.
But can I ask a question? Aren't a lot of the documents now being posted on the website?
My point is, if not, they should be.
Which documents are we talking about?
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure, but aren't a lot of those documents already posted on the website that?
When you say documents, again, could you clarify what you're talking about for documents?
Aren't some of the files that are sent into us, isn't it posted, for the meetings?
The communications I'm talking about are received that are addressed to the Elections Commission. And my point is, I think those should be made a part of the public record as part of the agenda or the minutes. And then they'd be posted on the website. But that's for the next meeting.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Okay, you got to clarify, Mike, yeah, for the next meeting. I'm not sure what.
Yes,
It's not
as,
clear in my head, which.
okay, as Jamie receives communication addressed to the Elections Commission,
right,
he forwards those communications to all commissioners.
Correct.
Those are the records that I'm addressing.
Okay.
And that we can address in the next meeting. Thanks, Scotty.
Okay. Does anyone have anything further? Okay, motion, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, we're adjourned.
Thanks all.
And
Thank you.
thanks,
Take
and I'm
care,
hoping next
everybody.
time we're in person.